Hello, everyone, and welcome. Dawn here. I'm so glad you could join me. I want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope you're enjoying yourself. Today, I'm going to start my Valentine's Day series cards, and I'm using the Whimsy Stamps Fadoodles Hearts. Every now and then, I like to do what I call a minimal card, and what I mean by this is I like using as little supplies as possible to make a nice card. So for this card, I'm literally using one stamp set and that's it. No other stamps or dies, no Copic coloring that I'm going to use for this card at all. So let's get started. This is not a hard card to make. It's actually quite simple. For me, it's about finding the right pattern I like while stamping because you kind of want the pattern you're making to flow nicely, right? Okay, I'm going to be using my Distress Oxide inks and I'm going to be heat embossing a clear coat over the hearts so the card has a nice shiny look to it. So the first thing I did was rub my paper with my embossing powder bag. Then I picked out 3 different colors of Distress Oxide inks that I thought went well together. I picked out Kitsch, Flamingo. Oh, I'm not sure if I said that right or not, and I use picked raspberry and black soot. I'm using the Distress Oxide inks because they stay wet long enough to emboss with them. Once I stamp a couple of the images, I pour embossing powder on it and then I keep stamping the images until my paper is covered. I'm using an acrylic block instead of my Misty stamping tool since I'll need to move the stamp all around. I didn't want to have to keep cleaning it after each use if I use the Misty. Now, I'm going to do the best I can. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm actually not the greatest when it comes to using an acrylic block. Anyone else have any issues? If I don't get a good stamp, I can never line it up again. I don't know how some people make it look so easy. I wouldn't be able to live without my Misty stamping tool. Once I have all of my images stamped, I go ahead and heat emboss it before I start stamping with the next color. Now, I bring in the picked raspberry. This is such a bright pink that I thought it went really great with the black. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to stamp some images and then pour the clear embossing powder on it. And then when I'm done with the stamping, I'll heat emboss the entire paper at one time. Now you can heat emboss after each time you pour the embossing powder if you want to. I was fine with doing it this way. You also might want to keep rubbing your paper with the embossing powder bag, but I didn't, and it wasn't a big deal for me, especially since it's clear embossing powder. I just went ahead and just brushed it off with a small paintbrush. Since I'm doing the same exact process for the entire card, I'm just going to kind of go through it really fast. I stamp my smaller hearts with some black soot, and then again, I pour the clear embossing powder on it, and then I'm going to use my heat tool to heat emboss it. And then I bring in the really small heart just to fill in some of the white space on the paper. And then again, I just put clear embossing powder on it and then I heat emboss it when it's done. And then I'll bring in the word hugs and I'm going to stamp them just in the big hearts, and that's it. And then I'll pour a clear embossing powder on it again, and then I will heat emboss it, and that's going to complete the stamping of the card. I don't know if you can see the shine to it, but embossing it really gives it a step up from just stamping it. Okay, I went ahead and trimmed the card front down to 3 5/8 by 5 inches, and I cut a piece of black cardstock to 3 3/4 by 5 1/8. I went ahead and die cut some sentiments from the black cardstock to help save on paper since no one will ever see it. Now, I want to apologize. I guess my camera cut out for a couple of minutes when I went ahead and I adhered the foam to the back of the card front, and then I attached the card front to the black cardstock, and then I adhered the entire card front to an A2 size card base. And my lighting seems to be a little off as well. I'm not sure what happened, so I apologize. Now I'm going to stamp the "With Love" sentiment onto a piece of black cardstock. Now I wasn't sure if I wanted to use silver embossing powder or white embossing powder, so I'm just stamping both of them and I'll see which one looks better. When I use white embossing powder, I use white pigment ink instead of the Versamark ink. I feel like it helps to make the embossing powder smoother after you heat it. I definitely like how the card looks with the white embossed one better, so I'm going to save the silver one for another card. I want to show you what I've been using instead of foam tape. I had so many scraps of craft foam and thick white cardstock that I decided to adhere 3 strips of white cardstock together and cut them to all different widths and lengths. I do this sometimes when I want to be in my craft room but I don't feel like creating anything, and I feel like it relaxes me. It definitely is helping me save on foam tape, so I just wanted to share that with you. Using some liquid glue, I adhere the cardstock strip to the back of the sentiment, and then I adhere the sentiment to the front of the card. And that's going to complete my card for today. I hope you enjoyed this card and how easy it was to make. I want to thank you for joining me on the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel. I would love for you to leave a comment below and let me know what you think of the card. Be sure to subscribe to the Whimsy Stamps channel and their other social media platforms so you don't miss out on any upcoming releases and great inspirational videos. Also, check out their website for all their new releases. And as always, I want to thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.